What do you do when your company looks perfect on paper, but something just doesn't feel right? Elias Rowan had built his reputation from nothing, buying a tiny office staffing chain 12 years ago and turning it into a 14-location powerhouse across 3 states. The business placed temporary workers in corporate offices, data entry, admin support, front desk, things like that. It wasn't glamorous, but it kept the lights on. Lately, though, Elias had been getting too many glowing reports from the district manager that sounded exactly the same. Smooth sailing, no issues, staff morale is high, managers are performing as expected. Too perfect. He hadn't seen the ground floor in almost 5 years. His last visit to one of the locations was before half the current managers were even hired. The company had grown and he'd stepped back, handing off most day-to-day oversight to his district leads. But now something in his gut told him it was time to look closer. He picked the 10th location in the chain, one of the busiest in Ohio. It had a high client volume, often placing over 100 temps per month. The numbers were solid, but he'd never met the staff there in person. That made it the perfect place to go undercover. "Make me invisible," Elias said to the HR director a week before. A new identity was created. Evan Rockwell, a recently laid-off warehouse clerk looking to gain office experience. He shaved his beard, dyed his salt and pepper hair fully brown, wore glasses, and swapped his usual tailored blazers for a wrinkled thrift store button-up and khakis. No one from the branch had ever seen him before, and most of the corporate photos had been scrubbed from internal systems years ago for privacy. He looked like just another guy trying to get his foot in the door. On Monday morning, he sat in the waiting area of the branch office, clutching a fake resume, heart beating faster than he expected. "Evan," a voice called. He stood. A woman in her late 20s with tired eyes and a firm grip shook his hand. "Tara Hill. I'm the branch manager. You're here for the temp orientation, right?" "Yes, ma'am," Elias replied, keeping his voice low and unsure. She didn't smile. "Let's make this quick. We've got a tight schedule today." The office looked polished, modern furniture, clean desks, motivational posters on the walls. But the energy was stiff. People barely spoke to each other. Phones rang and no one moved to answer them. A young man at reception looked jittery every time Tara walked by. Elias was placed in a side room with 3 other temps. "This is where you'll be doing data entry today," Tara said. "You've all been assigned to input candidate profiles into the new system. Don't mess it up. If you get more than 2 errors, you'll be replaced." She turned and walked out. The temp next to Elias, a woman with dark curls and a nervous smile, leaned over. "She always like that?" "Worse," the guy across from them muttered. "Saw her make a girl cry last week over one wrong digit in a phone number." Elias frowned. "Seriously? I'm not joking," the guy said. "And whatever you do, don't ask for help. She'll say you're wasting company time." Within the first hour, Elias saw it himself. A young man named Devin accidentally typed a wrong zip code, realized it quickly, and went to correct it. Tara appeared out of nowhere. "Did I say you could stop typing? I was just fixing don't talk back. You're here to enter data, not talk. You're lucky I don't replace you right now. One more screw up and you're out." She stared at him until he looked down at his keyboard. Elias clenched his jaw. He'd been running companies long enough to know the difference between pressure and cruelty. This wasn't leadership, it was fear. He kept quiet, watching, listening. The more he saw, the worse it got. Tara berated another temp for asking where the restroom was. She shouted at a regular staffer for printing a report in the wrong font. When the front desk printer jammed, she snapped, "You think I pay you to sit there like an idiot?" By lunch, Elias had seen enough to feel sick. Not just at Tara, but at himself. How had this gone unnoticed? How long had this been happening? He sat alone in the break room, quiet, watching as the reception guy from earlier, his name tag said Lucas, sat down next to him, looking drained. "You knew?" Lucas asked quietly. "Yeah. First day. Brace yourself. She gets worse in the afternoons." Elias looked at him. "Why do you stay?" Lucas shrugged. "I need the job. My dad's sick. Insurance comes with this one. That hit Elias hard. He looked down at his hands. He'd built this place to give people work, support, dignity. And now? He couldn't walk out. Not yet. He needed to see more. Needed proof. But something was already clear: this place wasn't just broken. It was bleeding. And Tara Hill was the one holding the knife. Elias returned to the temp workroom after lunch, the fluorescent lights above buzzing faintly. The quiet hum of keyboards filled the space, broken only by the occasional stifled cough or the sound of someone shifting in their chair. No one spoke. No one dared. He took his seat again beside the curly-haired temp, Janelle, who gave him a faint nod and returned to her screen. Her fingers moved fast. Too fast. Like she was trying to outrun something. Elias caught a glimpse of her screen. She was correcting a profile someone else had messed up. It wasn't assigned to her. "Why are you doing that one?" he asked softly. Janelle didn't look up. "If it's wrong, we all get penalized. Doesn't matter who did it." "You mean Tara marks the whole group?" Janelle gave the smallest nod. "She calls it collective accountability." That phrase hit Elias like a slap. He'd heard it before in a management seminar years ago, but it was meant for team-based projects, not punishing temps for typos made by someone else. It was being twisted here, weaponized. Before he could say more, Tara's voice echoed from the hallway. "Why are those numbers not updated yet?" she snapped, her shoes clicking hard against the tile. "I asked for the morning metrics 10 minutes ago." A voice replied, hesitant and quiet. "I'm still pulling the reports there. That's not an answer. You're stalling." Elias glanced out the door. A short woman with a lanyard that read payroll coordinator was standing near Tara, holding a folder. She looked exhausted, her shoulders hunched. "You've been here 2 years and still don't know how to run a simple query without dragging your feet?" Tara snapped. "I didn't drag my feet. I just don't interrupt me." Tara cut in, her voice suddenly lower, more dangerous. "I'm not your friend. I don't care what's going on at home or how tired you are. If you can't handle the basics, I'll find someone else." Elias stood slowly. "I need to use the restroom," he said to no one in particular, slipping out into the hallway. As he turned the corner, he caught sight of the payroll coordinator stepping into a small utility closet and pulling the door closed behind her. Her name tag read Maya. He paused by the door, listening. Inside, there was the sound of someone trying not to cry. He didn't knock. He just stood there, jaw tightening. Back in the main office, he passed by Lucas, who was trying to fix the jammed front desk printer again. The paper tray was scattered on the floor, and his hands were blackened with toner. "Tara keeps saying she'll put in a service ticket," Lucas muttered without looking up. "That was 3 weeks ago." Elias crouched beside him. "Why not submit it yourself?" "She revoked my system login last month. Said I was spending too much time on non-essential tasks." Lucas looked up then, his face pale. "This printer handles the intake forms, time logs, and ID verifications. I've been handwriting backups every day." Elias stared at him. "You're handwriting time logs?" Lucas nodded. "Every single one. That was a liability nightmare. Time tracking was legally sensitive, and errors could lead to wage disputes. If anything got misplaced, the company could be facing serious trouble." "Get up," Elias said suddenly. Lucas blinked. "What?" "Come with me." Lucas hesitated, then followed. Elias walked him back into the temp workroom. Janelle and Devin looked up. "Everyone listen," Elias said. "We're not doing this anymore. This is wrong." Janelle glanced at the door. "What are you talking about?" Before Elias could explain, Tara stepped in. "Why are you all just sitting there?" she barked. "You think this is a social club?" Elias turned toward her. "You've been threatening staff, penalizing temps unfairly, and letting critical tools fall apart. You've been yelling at people in public, denying access to basic systems, and punishing people for things outside their control." Tara's face twisted. "Who do you think you are?" He pulled the glasses off, standing straighter now. "My name is Elias Rowan. I own this company." The silence was instant. Tara's mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. "I came here because I wanted to see how things were really running," he continued, voice even. "And what I've seen in just 1 day is unacceptable. She tried to recover. This is a high-pressure branch. We have metrics to meet. I'm just holding people accountable. No, you're not, Elias cut her off. You're harassing employees. You've created a culture of fear. You've ignored basic operational needs and retaliated against your own staff for speaking up. She stepped forward, trying to regain her footing. They're temps. Most don't even stay more than a week. You can't build consistency with constant turnover. They leave because of how you treat them. He turned to the rest of the room. How many of you have been yelled at, belittled, or punished unfairly? One by one, hands went up. Not just the temps. Lucas. Maya, who had quietly come back in. Even a senior placement coordinator near the back, someone Elias hadn't noticed before. Tara looked around, her expression hardening. This is ridiculous. They're just bitter. You can't trust anything they say. I've seen enough with my own eyes, Elias replied. Pack your things. You're done here. Her face went pale. You're firing me? Yes, he said. Effective immediately. She opened her mouth again, but he raised a hand. Security will escort you out. HR will follow up with your termination paperwork. You're not to return to this office. He turned to Lucas. Can you print off a temporary badge for me? Lucas blinked twice, then nodded. Yes, I can do that. Elias turned back to the temps. If any of you want to leave for the day, you're free to. You will still be paid in full. But if you'd rather stay and help me clean this place up, I'd be honored to have you. Janelle raised her hand slowly. I'll stay. Devin followed. Me too. Elias looked to Maya. Take the rest of the day off. And if you need to talk to someone about what's been happening here, I'll make sure someone from HR is available immediately. She smiled faintly. I still read. Thank you. 2 hours later, the office felt different. Quieter, yes, but not in a fearful way. The tension had broken. Elias sat with Janelle and Devin going over the intake software, asking what confused them, what could be streamlined. Lucas used his restored login to place the long-overdue printer service request. When the receptionist from the morning came back from lunch, he froze at the sight of Elias at the desk. I thought you were a temp, he said. I was, Elias replied. But I'm something else too. The young man nodded slowly. I kinda figured. Elias smiled. What gave it away? You actually listened. That night, Elias didn't go back to his hotel. He stayed late, reviewing personnel files, system logs, and email trails. The damage Tara had done would take time to fix. But for the first time in a long time, he felt like he was doing what he was supposed to, leading. Not from behind a desk, but right in the middle of the people his company relied on. And he wasn't going anywhere. The next morning, Elias arrived at the branch office at 7:45 sharp. He wore no disguise this time, just a plain navy polo and dark slacks. The front doors were still locked, but Lucas let him in early, already at the desk with his coffee, the same dull circles under his eyes. I didn't expect you this early, he said. I didn't expect to be this tired, Elias replied, rubbing his face. But I've got work to do. Lucas handed him a manila folder. HR sent over Tara's formal exit paperwork. They also flagged a backlog of unresolved employee complaints from this branch. Most are from the last 11 months. Elias flipped it open and scanned the top few pages. Any idea why these weren't escalated? Lucas hesitated. She used to manage her own inbox filters. I think she rerouted them. Elias exhaled slowly. Get IT to confirm that. If she tampered with official systems, we may have to report it. Lucas nodded and picked up the phone. By 8:30, the rest of the office staff began to arrive. Some were cautious, unsure how to react to Elias's presence, while others looked quietly relieved. Maya walked in carrying a small paper bag and paused when she saw him already seated at the front desk. I brought breakfast, she said, holding up the bag. For the team. It's not much, just some muffins and fruit. That's thoughtful, Elias said. We'll set it up in the break room. I want to do a quick check-in with everyone before the day starts. Maya placed the bag on the counter and glanced around. Is someone replacing Tara? Eventually. But for now, I'll be taking point here until we stabilize things. Her eyes narrowed slightly. This going to be one of those corporate cleanups where everything changes for a week, then goes back to how it was? No, Elias said firmly. It isn't. At 9, he called the full-time staff into the main conference room. 8 people in total: 2 placement coordinators, payroll, reception, a recruiter, 1 HR liaison, and 2 admin support roles. The temps remained on the floor with Lucas overseeing intake. Elias stood by the whiteboard, arms crossed. "I know yesterday was unexpected," he began. "But I'm not here to make speeches. I'm here to make things right. So let's start by identifying what's broken. No hierarchy, no filters. Just say it." At first, no one spoke. Then the recruiter, a sharp-featured woman named Bree, raised her hand. "We've been short 2 staff for months. We were promised replacements. But Tara kept saying corporate denied the requests." Elias frowned. "That's not accurate. I reviewed the requisition logs last night. No requests were submitted." Bree looked down. "That makes sense." Next came Mateo, one of the admin support staff. "Intake software is outdated. The system crashes every time we scan more than 20 ID files. We lose hours restarting and re-entering data. Why wasn't it flagged?" He shrugged. "Tara said it wasn't a priority." Elias made a note. "What else?" The HR liaison, an older woman named Sonia, spoke next. "We stopped doing exit interviews. She said they were a waste of time." He looked up. "She told you that?" "She made it clear. If I brought it up again, she'd reassign me to filing." Elias tapped his pen against the whiteboard. "New protocol starting today. We resume formal exit interviews. Virtual or in person doesn't matter. Every departing employee gets one." Maya lifted her hand. "We've also had at least 3 client complaints about temp readiness. Some of the people we send out haven't been trained properly." Elias nodded. "We'll review the prep materials. If they're insufficient, we fix it." The last to speak was Darnell, a usually quiet placement coordinator. "There's been favoritism. Some temps get pushed to top clients, others are stalled out. Not based on skills, just who Tara liked." Elias looked at him. "You have proof?" "I've got snapshots of the placement board from different weeks. Patterns are clear. Send them to me. We'll audit the placements from the last 6 months." No one spoke after that. Elias looked around the room. "I'm not going to change everything overnight. But we fix what we can now and we keep building. Starting today, you all have direct access to me. No filters, no delays." He handed out index cards. "Write down one thing that would immediately help you do your job better. Doesn't matter how small. I'll read every one." As the staff wrote, Elias stepped out for a moment. Lucas was finishing a call at the front desk. "Printer tech's coming tomorrow," he said. "Earliest they could do." "Good. Let's keep a log of every maintenance request moving forward. I want to know when anything stalls." Lucas hesitated. "There's something else." Elias waited. "There's a temp. Name's Adrian. He was sent to a client site last week, but they sent him back early. Said he wasn't a good cultural fit." Elias raised an eyebrow. "That's vague." Lucas looked uncomfortable. "Adrian's black. He's got experience, clean background, did great on the assessment. But the client said he didn't match their environment. That's all they'd say." "Which client?" Lucas named a mid-sized accounting firm 30 minutes away. Elias didn't hesitate. "We're pulling our agreement with them. Today." Lucas blinked. "Just like that. There's no room for coded discrimination in this company. I'll speak to legal and compliance. We're not sending anyone else to that firm." Lucas nodded slowly. "Adrian's actually back here today. He was assigned to data cleanup." "Where's he?" "Back room, station 3. Elias walked back, careful not to disrupt the temps at work. He found Adrian hunched over a monitor, typing steadily. He looked up as Elias approached. "Mr. Rowan?" Elias offered a seat. "I heard what happened at the last site." "That shouldn't have happened. I wanted you to know we're ending our relationship with that client." Adrian looked surprised. "I just figured I'd get reassigned." "You will. But not to a place that doesn't respect you. You did the work, passed the checks. That's what matters." Adrian nodded, eyes steady. "Appreciate that." Elias stood. "If you ever feel something's off, come straight to me. No middle layers." Back in his temporary office, Elias reviewed the index cards from the staff. Most requests were practical. Better equipment, clearer training outlines, more transparency on client expectations. One card, in shaky handwriting, just said, "Stop making us feel disposable." He stared at that one a long time. That afternoon, Sonia briefed him on the HR records. One detail stood out: 3 former employees had filed resignations citing hostile internal culture. None had been followed up. "Do you think they'd be willing to speak with me?" Elias asked. "I can try," Sonia said. "But they left months ago." "Try anyway." By 5, the office was winding down. Elias stayed late again, this time in Tara's old office, reviewing her email archives. IT had confirmed she'd set up keyword filters. Any message with complaint, toxic, or concern went to a hidden folder. Dozens were sitting there unread. He forwarded every one to HR with a note: investigate and follow up. As he logged off, he saw Janelle in the break room, wiping down the table. She wasn't on the cleaning roster. "You don't have to do that," he said. "I know," she replied. "But the floor staff eats here too. Might as well keep it decent." Elias watched her for a moment. Then he said, "You interested in something more permanent?" She turned. "What do you mean?" "We'll need a training coordinator soon. Someone who's seen both sides. Someone who knows what's missing." Janelle looked stunned. "I've never done anything like that." "Neither had I when I started," Elias said. She nodded slowly. "I'll think about it." That night, Elias didn't leave until long after dark. The building was quiet. Most of the lights were off. But something felt different now, less brittle, more open. Change had begun. Not because he'd planned it, but because he'd finally shown up. By Friday morning, Elias had secured a temporary operations lead for the branch, a senior regional associate from the Cincinnati office named Kareem Douglas. Elias trusted him. Kareem had spent 6 years building up one of the company's toughest branches from scratch and had a way of earning loyalty without demanding it. He arrived just after 7, carrying a notebook, not a laptop. "Don't need Wi-Fi to listen," he said when Elias offered him a login. They sat inside the vacant team lead office. Kareem flipped through the initial transition notes Elias had assembled. "Looks like this place got hollowed out from the inside," he said, voice low. "People kept working, but nothing held them up." Elias nodded. "And no one told me until I became invisible." Kareem looked up. "You staying here long term?" Elias shook his head. "I'll be here next week, but after that, this branch is yours until we hire a permanent manager. If we keep rotating people through, the staff won't trust the change. They need someone consistent." Kareem closed the notebook. "All right, I'll meet them one by one. No group sessions. Better that way." Elias stood. "I'm going to check on Adrian. I moved him to records intake. The new client he's heading to next week asked for someone who could handle sensitive onboarding files. Good fit." Down the hallway, the records room door was propped open. Adrian sat between 2 metal cabinets, sorting folders into digital input batches. He looked up as Elias entered. "You settling in all right?" Adrian set down a bundle. "Yeah, bit buried in old forms, but it's quiet. Productive." Elias scanned the shelves. "Some of these go back 8 years. I'm surprised they weren't digitized." "Half were." "These are the ones with missing verification pages. Been scanning and flagging them." Elias paused. "You caught that yourself?" Adrian nodded. The timestamps on the forms didn't match the file log entries. Some were processed before they were even signed. "I cross-checked with the intake dates." "That's sharp work," Elias said. "You want to stay in records?" Adrian hesitated. "I'm not picky, but I like systems. I like when things line up." Elias nodded slowly. "We're building a dedicated compliance review team next quarter. If you're interested, I can keep you in mind." Adrian looked surprised but not overwhelmed. "Yeah, I'd be interested." Back in the main floor, Kareem was already meeting with staff in the unused interview room, one by one. Elias took the opportunity to meet with Sonia, the HR liaison who had been compiling post-incident documentation all week. She handed him a binder. "I've included everything: prior complaints, staff surveys, exit memos, and the email filters IT confirmed." Elias flipped through the pages. "Anything else?" Sonia hesitated. "There's one more thing." A former employee, Shauna Liddell. She reached out this morning. He looked up. She's one of the 3 who left citing hostile culture? Yes. She worked admin support. Said she's willing to talk, but only if it's off record. She doesn't want her name circulated. Elias nodded. Call her. I'll speak with her privately. Sonia stepped out to make the call. 15 minutes later, Elias was on the line with Shauna sitting alone in the back office. Her voice was steady. I appreciate you calling. Thank you for agreeing to talk, Elias said. I won't record or document anything without your permission. She paused. I left because I couldn't keep pretending to be okay. I stayed for almost 2 years. Tara didn't just micromanage, she humiliated people. She'd assign duplicate tasks just to see who finished first, then berate the slower one. She'd joke about accents, about hair, about the way people dressed. Elias's hand tightened slightly around his pen. Did you report anything? I tried. I sent 2 anonymous reports. Nothing happened. After that, I stopped trying. I'm sorry, Elias said quietly. You should never have been treated that way. Shauna exhaled. I didn't expect anything to change. But when I saw the news yesterday about her being fired, I figured maybe it mattered. It does, Elias said. It matters a lot. They talked for 10 more minutes. By the end, Shauna sounded lighter. Not happy, but hurt. After the call, Elias found Kareem in the break room sipping water. How's it going? They're tired, Kareem said. Most of them don't need a raise. They need to stop bracing for impact every time someone knocks on the door. Elias nodded. I've been thinking about something. We can't just change managers and walk away. We need a post-repair strategy. Kareem looked intrigued. Like what? Quarterly site audits. Anonymous staff feedback. Every location gets a direct HR contact. No more filtering through one person. And we start a mentorship program. Half the people here are capable of more but never got the chance. Kareem smiled. That'll take work. I'm not afraid of work, Elias replied. That afternoon, Elias called a full staff meeting. Not formal. Just a circle of chairs in the main room. He stood in the center. I'm not here to wrap things up with a bow. There's no bow. We've got gaps to fill, trust to rebuild, and systems to fix. But I'm here to tell you that you matter. Whether you're here for a week or 5 years. He looked around the room at Maya, who had returned to a full desk of payroll entries, at Lucas, who was finally able to take a full lunch, at Janelle, who had begun drafting a training module outline that morning. You've been carrying more than your share. And from now on, that stops. This branch won't run on fear anymore. It'll run on clarity, consistency, and respect. No one clapped. That wasn't the point. But heads nodded. Eyes met his. And something subtle shifted. After the meeting, Elias approached Janelle. I submitted your name for the training coordinator role. It's not official yet, but Kareem will work with you next week to build the first module. She looked at him carefully. What if I mess it up? Then we fix it together, Elias said. But it starts with someone who actually cares what happens to the next person who walks through that door. She nodded. Then I'm in. By the time Elias left that evening, the office wasn't perfect. The walls were still beige. The systems still clunky. The workload still heavy. But people spoke more freely. Doors stayed open. And no one flinched when a manager walked by. He paused at the front desk one last time. Lucas was organizing intake folders for Monday. Promise me something, Elias said. If anything starts to slide back, you call me. Directly. Lucas looked up. You sure you want me to have that kind of access? I'm counting on it. Elias walked out into the cool dusk, the parking lot mostly empty. He didn't feel triumphant. He felt accountable. And that was exactly how he wanted to feel. He'd built the company from the ground up, but it was on the ground where it had nearly broken. Now it would be the ground where it healed. And this time he would never let himself drift that far from it again.